So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. I do find his attack on Kate really gratuitous, but of course that is very much Meghan's speech.
That where the criticism should lie, the people who are supposed to be advising the Prince and Princess of Wales, or should we be blaming the princess herself?
Tom Bower is shaking things up again, and this time his latest bombshell has the entire royal scene spinning out of control. He's claiming that Meghan Markle's real age might not be what the palace has been telling everyone, and the fallout is nothing short of explosive. Fans, critics, and royal insiders are all asking the same burning question. How much of Meghan's story is genuine, and how much was built for the spotlight? Stick around, because what comes next gets even crazier. Tom says one of the biggest royal mysteries ever might center around Meghan herself, the Hollywood actress who went from red carpets to royal palaces, charming millions along the way. But now, the question is, did the world fall in love with a version of Meghan that doesn't quite match the record books? Somewhere between Los Angeles and London, the numbers just don't seem to add up. It all started when her father, Thomas Markle, began to speak out. He didn't sound angry. He sounded like a man burdened with a truth too heavy to carry alone. His words weren't gossip. They were quiet fragments of memories that didn't fit the official story everyone's been told. He spoke about rehearsals, ambitions, those early teenage years. The Meghan he remembered before all the fame. But as time went on, the story began to shift. The dates stopped lining up, and suddenly, her age became the biggest question mark of them all. Now, Thomas didn't come out screaming it to the world, but he dropped little clues. Subtle, careful, deliberate. Hints that Meghan might not be as young as the palace claims. And when that kind of suggestion comes from her own father, the man who's been there for every birthday, every school photo, every milestone, it lands differently. It's not just gossip anymore. It feels like a secret finally leaking out.
Have to give up milk deliveries. But I do think that when you're mocked so publicly as they've been, their value begins to nosedive pretty quickly. And I don't think they're finding any more sources of income. And with the stream of money they're spending.
And then the internet started connecting the dots. Back in March 1997, an old issue of 17 magazine surfaced, and it listed Meghan Markle's age as 21. Now here's where things really get wild. If Meghan was born in August 1981, like official records claim, she would have been just 15 at that time, not 21. That's not a small mistake. That's a 6-year gap. Not a typo, not a rumor. 6 full years of mystery. Even crazier, this wasn't some random fan theory or a rumor cooked up online. This was printed proof, published long before Meghan was a duchess or even close to royal life. The physical magazine still exists, and right there in plain black and white it reads, Meghan Markle, age 21. That single number changes everything.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. And I must say, it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut.
If that magazine detail is legit, it doesn't just tweak Meghan's birth year. It rewrites her whole story. Her school years, her early Hollywood grind, even how she was presented to the public. Everything would look completely different. Instead of being a young 20-something chasing acting dreams, she might have been a woman in her late 20s or early 30s, quietly trying to rebuild her image in an industry obsessed with youth, fame, and perfection. Now, it feels like we're looking at 2 completely different versions of Meghan Markle, and both can't be true. The first is the official palace-approved version, born on August 4th, 1981 in Los Angeles, which makes her 44 years old in 2025.
I do find his attack on Kate really gratuitous, but of course that is very much Meghan's speech. I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, you know, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter. You can't beat the real story. I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end.
That's the version stamped on royal press releases, biographies, and every polished statement that's ever come out of the palace. But then there's the other version, the one that refuses to fade away. The magazine record that boldly listed her as 21 back in 1997. If that's accurate, her real birth year would land closer to 1975 or 1976, which means Meghan would actually be pushing 50 today. And in a world where image is everything, that 6-year gap isn't just a number, it's a total rebrand. Because let's be real, in Hollywood and royal life, age isn't just digits on a page, it's identity. If this theory holds water, then the Meghan who joined the royal family wasn't a 36-year-old actress walking into her happily ever after.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And with the stream of money they're spending on security, on mortgages, on just plain living, I think they can see the end of the road within 5 years at best.
She was a woman in her early 40s, stepping into the most heavily watched institution on the planet. Every milestone, her graduation, her first acting gig, even her royal wedding, might have been part of a finely tuned script shaped by palace PR to fit the perfect fairy tale the world wanted to believe. It's like comparing ink versus pencil. Ink, that's your birth certificate, official and permanent. Pencil, that's the story that can be rewritten, reshaped, and polished until it fits the perfect picture.
Well, they can sue me, but what are they going to get? I mean, I don't have millions of dollars. They can't get, Harry and Meghan are living like hermits in a 26-room house. They don't have, they never have parties. They never have guests. I think the only guests they have are their $1 million lawyers and their $1 million PR.
Is that where the criticism should lie? The people who are supposed to be advising the Prince and Princess of Wales, or should we be blaming the Princess herself?
Well, I don't think we should blame the princess at all. She's recovering from a serious operation, and I think she was pressured into doing this photo shoot because people thought that that would somehow stop the dreadful ghouls and the trolls on the social media. But absolutely, you're right. The advice she's getting, the private secretaries, both in Kensington Palace and in Buckingham Palace, are just not up to the job. And we saw that very much with Andrew and Fergie leading the congregation into St. George's Chapel. We saw it very much with William's ill-advised intervention about a ceasefire for humanitarian aid in Gaza. He had no business getting involved in that terrible situation.
The world got the ink version of Meghan. Glossy, royal approved, flawless. But that old 17 magazine record? That's the pencil sketch. Messy, faded, and forgotten, but still visible if you look close enough. And then you add in her father's quiet hints, and suddenly the whole story starts to wobble. It's not gossip anymore. It's a timeline that just doesn't make sense. But just when people thought the age debate was already wild, Tom Bower turned the heat up even more. He dove straight into one of Meghan's most personal chapters, the birth of her son, Archie, and what he found had jaws dropping everywhere. According to Bower's latest claims, Meghan's birth story wasn't just inconsistent, it might have been crafted. And here's where it gets shocking. He's not the only one suggesting that. An insider from Portland Hospital, where Meghan was said to have given birth, reportedly came forward with serious doubts.
I'll say, I'm sure you've probably noticed that a certain show, Suits, has become a phenomenon yet again on Netflix. 45 billion minutes have been watched.
Is that right?
45 billion as of this week. We just found out 24 minutes ago that is the number.
Who's counting?
But literally, who's counting? What do you think is behind this renewed love for the show? Why has it become such a phenomenon again?
I have no idea. It was great to work on. Such a great cast and crew. We had a really fun time. I was on it for 7 seasons, so quite a bit. But it's hard to find a show you can binge watch that many episodes of these days, so that could have something to do with it. But good shows are everlasting.
Do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
Well, let me answer that real quick for you. The answer is yes, and I could not agree with you more on everything you just said. I was watching this interview just thinking to myself, this poor man, and it just continues and continues and continues, and he's going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I do believe, Meghan is driving this whole caravan for him. He is so stressed out. You can see it in his face, despair. He's confused. He doesn't know what to say. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says. Apparently, in my opinion, of course, but very sad to watch. And I think it was a desperate plea because they've made their beds for the last 6 years and now they're sleeping on them. And the entire world knows exactly.
You thought that Harry and Meghan being booed was faked? Oh, we have a video proof of that. Look at this. We have more than one angle. There's another angle of this. And yeah, for comparison, this is what happens when Catherine is in the Jumbotron. Yeah, I absolutely had to do it, but well, now you have a video proof.
This person had first-hand experience with how the hospital actually runs, and they said Prince Harry's story in his memoir Spare didn't line up with reality at all. In Harry's version, Meghan was calm, glowing, and surrounded by peace, with 2 epidurals, a smooth birth, and a 2-hour recovery before heading home to Frogmore Cottage. Sounds like a dream, right? But for anyone who knows how childbirth really works, especially at a top-tier hospital like Portland, that account raises major questions. You can't just double up on epidurals, and no hospital, especially one dealing with high-profile cases, discharges a new mom 2 hours after giving birth. That's not standard care. That sounds more like a royal fairy tale than a medical record. And when you break down the timeline, it gets even stranger. The drive from Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage takes nearly an hour by itself.
This is a technique that we're seeing from Meghan here in terms of her body language that we're still seeing today, although used in a slightly different way. We get the long pause. The long pause that's, if only I could put it into words, how can I choose my words carefully, which gives the implication that this is a horror story, that I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to tell you. She looks away, and then we get a very, very signature Meghan trait of the eyelid flutter. Now, she does this a lot. She does it when she talks about Harry, and she looks up and does it when she says how in love she is and what a f*** he is, etc. But she also does it when she's talking about something that's made her very emotional.
That's why I think, I think Tina is a great journalist, and perhaps she has inside information. I don't see how the Sussexes can give up both the Netflix and the book deal. They won't be living in a Montecito cottage. They'll be more likely living somewhere in downtown LA, in a little hovel. That's their problem. They're stuck now. But, you know, the truth is about... Then he wore a Nazi uniform at a party. Then he was wearing absolutely nothing in the nude at the party in Las Vegas. And he couldn't cope with the criticism because, in his view, he is a target. And it didn't help that his telephones were hacked by News International, Rupert Murdoch's group here in London.
So if Meghan truly left 2 hours after giving birth, that would mean she had barely an hour to deliver, recover, get cleared, and be on her way home. And that just doesn't add up. Something in that story feels off, and it's got everyone wondering what really went down behind those hospital doors. Anyone who's ever gone through childbirth knows one thing for sure. Leaving the hospital 2 hours after delivery just doesn't happen. Doctors and nurses at Portland Hospital are known for being extra strict when it comes to postnatal care, especially with high-risk pregnancies. And yes, Meghan's pregnancy was officially classified as geriatric, which in medical terms simply means she was over 35. Not an insult, just a fact. That kind of classification demands constant observation, not early checkouts and candlelit setups. But in Harry's version, Meghan's delivery sounded less like a medical procedure and more like a luxury wellness retreat. He described candles flickering, birthing balls, soft lighting, almost like a spa commercial. It painted the picture of calm serenity, but insiders from Portland Hospital quickly pushed back, saying setups like that would never be allowed for high-risk patients. They follow strict medical protocol, not Pinterest-inspired aesthetics.
I don't think it's immediate. They're not about to have to give up milk deliveries. But I do think that when you're mocked so publicly as they've been, their value begins to nosedive pretty quickly. And I don't think they're finding any more sources of income. And with the stream of money they're spending on security, on mortgages, on just plain living, I think they can see the end of the road within 5 years at best. And they've got a real financial problem now.
They've had a few misfires, haven't they? Whether it was their podcast, the relationship they had with Spotify, but there has to be said some successes, you know, their relationship with Netflix. Where do you think it's slightly gone wrong in terms of what they thought they'd be able to offer to kind of the American public and they haven't actually been able to deliver?
Well, the problem is all they can offer the American public is to trash our British royal family. I don't see how the Queen, who was described by Harry as vicious in his book, and Kate and William, who were unbelievably traduced both in the book and in the Oprah Winfrey interviews and by Harry in the Apple interviews, can forgive him. I mean, he'd have to eat so much humble pie, and that's beyond him. And I must say, it's also beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut to crack, and I think Harry, whereas he's come over, he didn't stay after the funeral, he didn't stay after the coronation. I think he's come because his father clearly asked him to come, but I don't see any sign of forgiveness from the other members of the family for the terrible lies and disloyalty which he's shown. No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. I wrote 4 years ago a book about Prince Charles, and it was a story about how he had rehabilitated himself after Diana's death and how Camilla also had to be rehabilitated, and it was a #1. It was a fascinating story. So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, you know, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter. You can't beat the real story. I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real fact. I do find his attack on Kate really gratuitous, but of course that is very much Meghan speaking.
Well, it's basically depicting Kate as a Stepford wife that doesn't have much use of...
And she's a wonderful woman. She's doing a terrific job. And the point about him, he's looking for headlines, and us sitting here is giving him headlines. But really, he's an incorrigible rascal who's getting away with it.
Then came the whispers about preeclampsia, a serious condition that can be dangerous if not treated properly. It requires magnesium sulfate, constant monitoring, and absolutely no early discharge. So how could Meghan have walked out glowing and camera-ready just 2 hours later? That's when people started connecting the dots. Maybe this wasn't just about childbirth. Maybe it was about control, management, and maintaining a flawless public image. Because when your brand is built on perfection, and you're both a royal figure and a Hollywood name, every single detail matters. From the birth announcement to the first official baby photos, everything has to look smooth, magical, and completely effortless. But as Tom Bower and other investigators started pointing out, too many pieces just didn't line up. The epidurals, the timing, the recovery, even the hospital's own rules didn't match the story being told. Under closer inspection, the details started to crumble. At that point, it didn't sound like a wild conspiracy anymore. It started to look like a pattern. A pattern where reality was gently bent, just enough to keep the fairy tale alive. And when you zoom out, this isn't even the first time something in Meghan's story hasn't quite fit. From the confusion around her age, to the questions about her birth story, to that picture-perfect public image, every detail seems to have been drawn in pencil, not ink. Soft, flexible, and easy to rewrite when needed. It's like every chapter of her life has been buffed until it shines, even if it meant smoothing out the truth along the way. But here's the thing about pencil marks. When the light hits them just right, you can still see the erased lines underneath. Tom Bower wasn't out to destroy her story. He was doing what investigative writers do best, peeling back the layers to see what's real. And what he found wasn't simple gossip. It was a rewrite. So maybe the question isn't whether Meghan's story is entirely false. Maybe it's whether the world has ever been told the whole truth. Because when your entire empire is built on image, the first thing to crack under pressure is reality itself. And now, Meghan's age, her motherhood story, and the myth surrounding her seem to be colliding under one blinding spotlight. And this time, the shine might not hide the cracks. Once you spot the cracks, there's no one seeing them. But just when everyone thought this royal mystery had wrapped up, another shocking twist comes crashing in, a layer so wild it changes everything. When you start connecting the dots, the rumors, the shifting timelines, the questions around her age and her story, it doesn't look like a one-time slip-up anymore. It starts to feel like a pattern of reinvention that runs deep. Tom Bower himself has said it before. Meghan Markle's life doesn't read like a biography. It reads like a screenplay. Every chapter feels scripted, every reveal seems perfectly timed, and every controversy somehow turns into another headline, keeping her name glowing in the spotlight. It's as if she's always understood one simple truth. In today's world, power isn't just about crowns or titles. It's about controlling your own story. Because when you control the story, you control how the world sees you. But here's the real question. What happens when that story starts to unravel? If there's even a shred of truth to the age rumors, if she really is 6 years older than what the palace has claimed, then what else might have been adjusted along the way? What other royal facts might not be quite as official as they seem? That same picture-perfect precision that built her Hollywood career followed her straight into royal life. Every appearance, every speech, every outfit, all polished to perfection. Even those so-called candid paparazzi shots somehow looked too perfect, like something out of a photo shoot. It wasn't chaos, it was choreography. And behind the scenes, that level of image control doesn't happen by accident. When Tom Bower started pulling the strings on this story, he wasn't just chasing gossip, he was digging into the system that keeps the royal image running. Behind every glossy photo of Meghan and Harry strolling through Montecito, every emotional interview, every documentary clip, there was a plan, a storyline, and maybe, just maybe, the same attention to image that might have blurred her age also shaped her entire royal narrative from the very start. And that's why people can't look away. Because this story isn't just about numbers on a birth certificate. It's about how far someone can go to rewrite their own reality, to shape themselves into the perfect version of a modern-day fairy tale. It's about control, power, and the price of keeping up the illusion when the truth starts to peek through the cracks. But here's the twist no one saw coming. When the curtain finally lifts and the spotlight hits what's been hiding underneath, there's no going back. Once you've seen behind the gloss, the magic doesn't look the same anymore. And what's left isn't a villain or a victim. It's something far more real. A woman trying to hold on to her own legend in a world that's finally starting to look past the shine. And just when you think Tom Bower is done, he drops another bomb that shakes everything to its core. This time, it's not about age, or acting, or royal titles. It's about the kids. Yes, the author is now raising questions about whether Archie and Lilibet are actually Meghan and Harry's biological children. And before anyone dismisses it as tabloid noise, here's the thing. His claims come backed with years of digging, records, and unexplained inconsistencies that have been making people raise eyebrows for a long time. It's the kind of claim that hits harder because it cuts straight into what the couple said they cared most about: protecting their children's privacy. Yet somehow, those same kids have now become the center of their biggest storm yet. A scandal so intense it's making even longtime supporters stop and think twice. And that's the part that leaves everyone frozen. Because if this part of the story has even a drop of truth in it, then maybe, just maybe, the real fairy tale wasn't what we thought at all. At this point, it's not just about royal protocol or family tension anymore. It's something way deeper. The question that's shaking everyone right now is harsh but simple. Who exactly are Archie and Lilibet? For any ordinary family, that question would sound downright cruel. But for the Sussexes, a couple whose every move feels branded, polished, and packaged for global attention, that question hits very differently. According to Tom Bower, this isn't just about whispers of surrogacy or gossip spun by tabloids. He suggests it could be something far more complicated, possibly a secret meant to protect a much bigger truth. And if there's even a hint of accuracy in what he's claiming, then this goes beyond personal drama. It becomes a direct hit at the royal institution itself. Because in the monarchy, lineage isn't just private family business. It's the backbone of everything. And then there's Harry. Once the world's favorite cheeky prince, loved for his charm and rebellious spark. But now, reports out of Montecito paint a very different picture. Insiders say he's constantly on edge, pacing around the mansion, glued to his phone, and losing sleep over the endless headlines. They claim he's been snapping at staff and spiraling under the pressure, looking more and more like a man crushed by the noise he once tried so hard to rise above. It's almost heartbreaking because the irony is impossible to ignore. The same prince who built an empire around mental health and emotional balance now seems to be crumbling under the very thing he preached about overcoming. Meanwhile, Meghan is reportedly handling the chaos in a completely different way. Calm, calculating, and ruthless when she needs to be. Sources say she's lawyering up, firing off cease and desist letters, and closing ranks around her inner circle. But the more she fights to silence the rumors, the louder they grow. It's like pouring water on a grease fire. Every move only makes the flames shoot higher. Online, people are digging like never before, connecting dots, pulling old photos, and uncovering timelines that suddenly start making sense when you look at the whole picture. Those perfectly staged pregnancy shots, the blurry timelines that didn't line up, the missing hospital photos, and the overly polished birth announcements. All of it suddenly feels too curated, like a PR campaign dressed up as real life. And now that people are revisiting those moments, what once looked like coincidence is starting to look like careful construction. Critics are saying that Meghan and Harry could have put this whole thing to rest years ago with a little transparency, but instead they doubled down on secrecy. And now, that same secrecy is circling back like a storm cloud, threatening to undo everything they built. Because what we're seeing now feels like the unraveling of one of the most carefully crafted royal escape stories ever told. A story that once looked like freedom and reinvention. But under the microscope, it's beginning to crack under suspicion. Whether you buy into Tom Bower's claims or not, there's one thing that no one can ignore: the silence from Harry and Meghan. Their refusal to address any of it is deafening. Instead of calming things down, that silence is only fueling the speculation. Sometimes saying nothing speaks louder than any press release ever could. And that silence has now become its own headline, echoing through every corner of the internet. But then comes the biggest red flag of all. And this one's impossible to explain away: the complete and total distance between Archie and Lilibet and the rest of the royal family. Think about it. We've seen endless photos of William and Kate's kids, laughing with King Charles, hugging Queen Camilla, even sitting sweetly beside the late Queen Elizabeth herself. Those moments are everywhere, captured naturally over the years. But when it comes to Harry and Meghan's children, nothing. No cozy family photos, no warm moments with their royal cousins, no public birthday greetings that feel genuine, no casual shots of them spending time with the king. It's just silence and absence. And for a family that once claimed to value connection and togetherness, that distance speaks volumes. It almost feels like Harry and Meghan are living in their own separate world. And people can't stop asking, is that just coincidence, or is there a deeper reason the palace seems to be keeping its distance? Either way, that silence between family members says more than words ever could. This isn't just harmless gossip anymore. It's a serious question that could have massive consequences. Because if Meghan and Harry did use surrogates, that's absolutely their right, a private choice that no one should judge. But if there's more to the story, if donors were involved, or if the biological connections aren't exactly what the world has been told, then we're not just talking about a tabloid rumor anymore. This could shake the very foundation of the monarchy itself. The British royal family runs on 3 sacred pillars: lineage, tradition, and legitimacy. If that bloodline is ever called into question, it's not just a family scandal. It becomes a full-blown constitutional crisis waiting to explode. And at the center of this storm stands one man, Tom Bower. Now let's be clear, Bower isn't some random blogger chasing clicks. He's a veteran investigator, a man who's spent decades digging through royal history and uncovering secrets that others wouldn't dare touch. And the chilling part, many of his past revelations have eventually turned out to be true. So when someone with his reputation drops a claim this heavy, the world pays attention. This time, Bower has lit a fuse under one of the most explosive royal rumors ever whispered. A rumor that, if it holds even a fraction of truth, could rewrite Meghan and Harry's entire royal legacy. It's the kind of claim that makes even the staunchest royal supporters stop and question what they thought they knew. But here's what makes it even stranger. Through all of this noise, Harry and Meghan have stayed completely silent. No denial, no statement, no sit-down interview to clear the air, nothing. Not even something as simple as a DNA test to finally shut everyone down once and for all. Just pure silence, and that's what's keeping the flames alive. Because let's be honest, when people see you refusing to address a rumor this big, they start wondering, if there's nothing to hide, then why not prove it? Every single day they stay quiet, the speculation only grows louder. What began as small whispers on hidden online forums has now exploded into trending hashtags, viral videos, and heated news debates. Social media is dissecting every photo, every timeline, every supposed clue. And commentators everywhere are asking the same question. If Meghan and Harry have nothing to hide, why not just take the test and end it all? But instead, their silence, intentional or not, is doing the exact opposite. It's feeding the fire. And now, that fire isn't just burning, it's spreading faster than ever before. So what do you think? Could Tom Bower actually be right about Meghan's real age and the deeper mysteries behind her story? Or is this just another royal rumor spiraling out of control? Either way, one thing's undeniable. When it comes to Harry and Meghan, the truth is never simple. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking royal revelations coming your way soon.